Now the question comes, who qualifies for the LBO? Who is the good candidate for LBO? This is what we are looking at. See, remember the characteristics of a company would define whether this particular company is good enough to be an LBO or not. We cannot just go into the market and go and buy each and every company. So when we have to ensure that a person is a good candidate for LBO, we have to see for the following features which we are going to discuss. Now remember that each of the company won't have all the features which I'm going to discuss here. So you have to see the combination of features which you're looking at when you're going and buying for an LBO in that. Okay. So the first is strong cash flows. See, strong, predictable operating cash flows with which the leveraged company can service and pay down the acquisition debt is the foremost important feature which every company has to have. The reason is when you're going for LBO, the plan for the acquirer or the buyer is that whatever are the cash flows of this company, from that they will pay the debt which they have gained or which they have acquired because of acquiring this company. So whatever loan they have taken to acquire this company, the interest and the principal part would be paid from the cash flows. Hence, strong cash flows are of utmost importance when you're looking out for an LBO candidate. Okay. Then comes the mature industry and company. Stock price of a public target company is trading at a lower multiple to free cash flow as compared to a new and high growth industry or company would be an ideal candidate. Okay. So we are looking out for company who is already there in the industry for some time, and that industry as such is not a new industry. See, when we are talking about a mature industry, the question here is to look out for industries which are there for some time. They are not new as such. Or let's say biotechnology. Few years back, it was considered to be a very new and new segment. So when we are looking out for acquisitions, we cannot look for such newer industries. We have to look for mature industries. For example, the FMCG segment, that would qualify as a mature industry. Then comes the clean balance sheet. Clean balance sheet means having no or very low amount of outstanding debt. Need the ability to be able to use debt as part of acquisition, consideration or leverage as the name suggests. Okay. A company having no debt or having a very high free cash flow would be a great candidate, given the fact that the buyer can buy the company with senior debt and then use these free cash flows which we discussed in point number 1 to pay the principal and the interest due. Hence, clean balance sheet is also one of the most important features for a good LBO candidate. Then comes the business and the products of the candidate or the seller should be well established. They should have a name in the industry as such. Okay, so this is what the this is what the buyer has to look out for. Then comes the strong management team. And what is a strong management team? Management is, when we are talking about the management, we are talking about the senior management. Now, they are the people who are able to run and create an efficient company with same cash generating characteristics. Private equity firms might decide to get rid of old management team and hire a new team if they want, that has a very successful track record of building great business in their respective industry, or they would continue to retain the old team which already has a well established name and a track record, but in that case it would become a MBO. Okay. Then the other feature is going in for a low working capital. So here we are concentrating on steady cash flows. Apart from strong, they should be steady, and the working capital requirement should be pretty low. Looking for stable and recurring cash flows which can be used to pay the debt, principal and interest over the years before you decide to exit is necessary, because it would help you in giving a good amount of exit or a good leverage, a good advantage, I would say. So it would this is necessary because it would give you a good advantage when you're deciding to exit from the deal, and it would also increase the equity to total asset ratio of the company as such. Okay, now lesser capital expenditures in future. Now this is similar to what we discussed in the earlier point, wherein I said lower working capital ratio. So what here the plan is, generally when you're going in for an LBO, is that I should acquire a company wherein I can finance the amount I have paid to the seller through debt, and this debt is and principal is repaid through the cash flows of the company itself, plus the company is well established in the market, so there are steady cash flows. I do not have any problems in generating the cash flows. Apart from that, the company as such do not have any future capital expenditures, or the working capital requirement is not a headache for me. So these are the things which I'm generally looking out when we are going for an LBO. Then there should be easy and feasible exit options. See, one question you should ask when you're deciding for a candidate to be a good LBO candidate is that has there been any historical LBO or IPO precedent in the relative industry in which your target candidate belongs to, and will you be able to sell the business at the same or a higher entry multiple than the original price which you're going to pay. Okay, so these are the questions which you have to answer when you are deciding for an LBO candidate. Now remember that when we would be doing the modeling part, you will understand this more better, that the company should be in such a position that after paying the debt and earning my requisite profits, when I'm going back to the market and selling it, the company or that division should give me a good amount of profit. So hence, when we are projecting and doing projections of cash flows and the revenue part, we always see that the exit options for the buyer are easy and feasible. So obviously, if you want very high cash flows, lesser capital expenditure, then that means the company should have a competitive advantage compared to its peers or compared to its competitors in the industry. Overall, the company should be in a great position, and it should keep generating steady cash flows and should be selling such products that it is able to withhold its position in the industry. Okay, apart from that, there should be a possibility of selling some underperforming or non-core assets. See here, the company, when you're eyeing for an LBO candidate, you should look out for such company wherein in their balance sheet there are certain non-performing assets which can be sold off, and this would help you to raise the cash which you require initially to pay off your outstanding debt till the time the cash flow starts generating or you have the cash flows in your hand. Note that these assets should not represent a significant contributor to company's current cash flow also, because in that case, once the assets are gone, the cash flow will decrease substantially. Hence, you have to look out for these aspects when you're looking in the balance sheet, when you're searching for the non-core assets. Remember that when you're doing the spin-off, these non-core assets will increase your market multiple as your business going forward would be compared to a new set of public peers. So we'll understand all this more in detail when you're doing the financial modeling part in LBO.